Liverpool 4, Newcastle 2, and the Reds down the Magpies yet again in what was a very thrilling game, a game that had a lot of incidences, very good performance from the Newcastle goalkeeper, but an even better performance from Mo Salah. What's up, guys? Happy New Year. I hope you all brought the year in with a lot of fun and a lot of joy, and more importantly, I hope you are ready for another next 19 or 20 games for some teams of interesting Premier League reactions and reviews from yours truly. Anyways, today's game was a 4-2 victory for Liverpool, a game in which, to me, showed and highlighted the reason why I think that Liverpool and Manchester City are going to be the forerunners yet again for this Premiership title. But I want to give a little shout out to Newcastle, who did try to make this game interesting, although pretty much from the off, you saw that they were not going to be able to keep up with Liverpool. The intensity that Liverpool came into this game with, and they looked as though they wanted to put right a couple of wrongs that they had previously when they played at Anfield with 2 consecutive draws, one to Manchester United in a game that they really should have won, and one against Arsenal where they probably shaded it and could have won, but ended up as another draw. Now, in this game, right from the off, we saw Liverpool try and take control of the game, and they pretty much put Newcastle to the sword without actually killing them. Newcastle did their best within the first 20 minutes to just stave off each and every attack that Liverpool put across, and it almost seemed as though it was inevitable. It was written on the ball that Liverpool would take the lead. Eventually, they did get a penalty, which Mo Salah surprisingly spurned, and quite interestingly enough, he has missed quite a number of his last few penalty kicks. But that was just a little bit of in store to what was going to come in the game, because Newcastle were being peppered left, right, and center, and they just kept on looking as though they needed the halftime whistle to blow. Now, they did try and have 1 or 2 chances, and it wasn't that much because Liverpool pretty much controlled everything, all the way from defense all the way to the attack. Now, it only came to pass that once after Dubravka had saved that penalty kick, that Newcastle even made an appearance in the Liverpool half, so much so that they only had 1 shot on target throughout the whole first half. Now, when we went into halftime, it was admittedly Liverpool fans were looking at this as, is this going to be another game where we're going to spurn a lot more chances and not take control of this game completely by getting ahead in the scoreline? Now, immediately as the second half started, Liverpool started off exactly where they had left off from the first half, and they were duly rewarded eventually when they turned the ball into the net. Mo Salah combining very well with Darwin Núñez, and they were able to put the ball in the net, finally breaking Dubravka's resolve. He was an immense figure in the Newcastle goal, and a little shout out to their Newcastle defenders who did try and put Liverpool off for as long as they could. And at that point, it looked as though Liverpool were just going to step on the gas and take control of the game like we had all thought they were going to do throughout the whole first half and the early second half. But surprisingly enough, Newcastle showed us why they are a very dangerous side, and Alexander Isak was able to score from some very, very good play from Anthony Gordon over on the left wing. He was able to get through Szoboszlai and get through Trent Alexander-Arnold quite easily, if you ask me, but he was able to lay the ball off very well for Isak, who kept himself onside, slotted the ball very coolly and very classily above Alisson. At this point, we were at 1-1, and Liverpool fans were starting to fear, hey, we have had the better of the exchanges in this game, but there was a lot of time on the clock. Eventually, after the substitutes of Jota and Gravenberch came in, and they seemed to just take over from where the people who they had replaced were. And Newcastle conceded the second goal, and at this point you were saying, you know what, Liverpool are just going to keep on steamrolling ahead. This time they actually did. Curtis Jones managing to turn in another very sleek moving pass from Liverpool and made it 3-1. But Newcastle were not to be denied. And like I said before, we still see glimpses of the squad that, excited the league last season and the one that had started so brightly this season. Despite being tired, Botman was able to turn in a header and make the game 3-2. And Liverpool were now starting to look at this game like, hey, we really need to put this game away. Newcastle gave as good as they got. But one thing that we have all said so far is that they seem very tired, and their inability to bring in fresh new players because their bench is stacked pretty much with teenagers and youngsters is hampering them right now. And they are finally happy that the January transfer transfer window is open. Now, only God knows who their targets are going to be, but they do look like they need a refresh. And right now, they're going to have a little bit of a break in the league, but they still have to face Sunderland in the FA Cup. So that's going to be a very tasty fixture, given the fact that it's going to be away from home. And you know that Sunderland are going to be relishing this opportunity to just sink them down a little bit more. Over on the Liverpool side, Liverpool played very well in this game. And like I said before, this is the reason why I put them above Arsenal right now as Manchester City's closest challengers. And the reason why I say that is because they peppered the Newcastle goal, but they were well worth the scoreline today because they created and finished those challenges. Not once did Liverpool give up. They always kept on going, and there was always a player free. There was always somebody that was willing to turn the ball into the net, much unlike what Arsenal have been doing in the last two games. Now, fine, Arsenal are in poor form, but when you look at the way Liverpool were able to break down Newcastle consistently, and despite it, you could have thought that it was just not going to be their day. When Mo Salah missed his penalty, he just kept on going. And I think he scored about 4 braces this season. And one of the only negative things from this game is going to be this is going to be the last game of Endo and Mo Salah before they both go to play in their international tournaments. So that might be the one thing that might dampen a little bit of the spirits in Liverpool. But at the same time, you look at all the attacking firepower that Liverpool have, and you say that maybe they might just be fine. And in my opinion, if they are going to be able to get through this January and early February period, there's no reason as to why Liverpool cannot continue to press on for the title. Simply because they keep on refreshing the squad very well. Jota looks like a guy that's been reformed ever since he's come back from his injury. He's always been a very good player. And then you look at the likes of Gravenbach, and you look at what McAllister did immediately he came on for that splitting through pass that he gave, and you just think about what Liverpool can do to their opponents. And it's all coming together in this nice little soup that's going to be served up for the rest of the Premiership to be able to digest. The only other thing that you could say as far as the title race is that Manchester City are not going to be sending anybody to AFCON or the Asian Cup, and so that leaves them with a very strong squad. And not to say that Arsenal's or Liverpool's squad is not that strong, and I am going to, give a little bit of credence to Aston Villa because they are still up there. But the thing is that Manchester City's starting 11 is so strong, and the people that they have to bring from the bench are so cultured in what they are supposed to do, that right now it's very hard to see beyond Manchester City winning the title, simply because they're now menacingly just lurking right behind Liverpool. They might be 5 points behind, but they do have that game in hand. And what's 2 points to Manchester City? They can make that up with nothing, absolutely nothing. So the question is going to be, are Liverpool going to be able to get through this testing period in January and some part of February without their talisman? And the thing is that Mo Salah is just so consistent, so you worry about the fact that he is so integral to the team and what this could mean for them in the long run. I think they'll be fine, simply because when you look at Jota and you look at Gakpo and you look at Nunez, and at the same time look at the midfield where you have Gravenbach and you have McAllister, Liverpool should be fine. And I think that if they can get through January, they'll be okay. Their only issue is going to be trying to find the right combination of the 3 people that are going to be there without Salah. At the end of the day, a 4-2 victory for Liverpool, well worth it. They are now the second most prolific attack. I believe only Manchester City have scored more goals than them, and they have the best defense. So the ingredients are all right for Liverpool to just keep on going for this title. And I said before, I am very, very nervous about Arsenal's opportunity to try and get past the teams that are above them right now. And at this particular point, I actually am going to state that Liverpool are my favorites for the title. We've had 19 games to now assess each and every team, because there are a couple of teams that have a game in hand. We've had 19 games to draw upon, and I think that Liverpool are the most consistent team in the league. And it could just be because they started off the season very cautiously, but I find Liverpool a very difficult team to beat. It doesn't matter whether they're away or whether they're at home. And they have this fantastic run of only 1 loss in 30 Premier League games right now. So if they are able to continue that all the way through, well, I have them as my favorites at the moment. I think that Manchester City's problems are pretty much because of not really complacency, but there are some teething problems to the new wingers and the fact that some of the stalwarts that they've been able to call on in previous seasons are not there anymore, because Gundogan was a clutch player, and we saw what he was able to do for their run in plenty of Premier League seasons. And then you look at Mahrez, who was also very clutch for them. So right now, I have Liverpool just edging Manchester City, and I am basing that off of the performances in their first 19 games. I have Arsenal slightly below them, not saying that they cannot win the league. Of course they can. But from what I've seen of Liverpool and Manchester City, I think that Liverpool are so hard to beat, and we always know that Manchester City just becomes stronger towards the end of the season. Arsenal, if they do make some kind of changes based off of their January transfer window process, then maybe I might consider them back in there. But right now, I think that the league is going to be won with somewhere between 80 and 87 points, and I have Liverpool at the top of that tree right now. I think that they can get between 86 to about 88 points. I'm going to give Manchester City somewhere in the same run, but I'm going to have them on 83 to 87. And then I am going to have Arsenal just below that, and I'll have them scraping 80 points, because I do think that it's still going to be a very tight Premier League race. And I still do think that a lot of these teams are going to drop points to other teams, maybe even the lesser teams, because we've seen the likes of your Lutons and your Evertons. And when you press these bottom teams to their edge, you know, they will not jump off the cliff. A lot of them are going to choose the fight part of the flight and fight. But anyway, guys, it's been your boy Izzy. Thank you for watching this. Welcome to the new year, and long may everything work out for you in this fresh new 2024. Thanks, guys. Peace.